Mitch has Wars 96 here with another video review. This time we have a Sideshow product. It is from their Marvel Comics line, Deadpool. So overall, very excited to get this figure. Placed my order on this figure mid-September of 2014, so it's certainly taken a while to get here, being that it is November of 2015. However, worth the wait in my opinion. Definitely a very fun figure. And this was one that when it went on, when it was shown, I had no intentions to get. I thought it looked cool and everything, but it was just not something that I needed. By the time the official image just came out and it did go on pre-order, I did decide to buy this one pretty fast, just because of how much stuff he came with, you know. And I love a figure that comes with a bunch of accessories, keeps the figure fresh and interesting. So overall, I was very excited to get this one by the time it went on pre-order, and very happy to have it now. So let's get him out of the box and see how good he is. So here's Deadpool out of the box, but before we go into the figure, let's go over his accessories. Alright, you do get a nice assortment of hands for Deadpool. You get 10 in total. A couple of fists, of course. A couple of hands for holding the swords or the knife. A couple of hands for holding the handguns, or that can be held with the larger weapon. You've got a hand for the left arm that is kind of got somewhat of a grip to it. It can be held, used for holding the grenades, or possibly the end of the larger weapon. You know, it could be really for whatever. I don't think that it has a specific purpose. And then also on that same arm, he does have another hand that's got kind of a peace symbol here, or like he's kind of pointing, maybe directing the zombie Deadpool head as to where to go, especially since one of his sayings that he has is head pool attack, I believe. Then he has on for his right side, he has a thumbs up, as well as kind of an okay type of hand there. So overall, you've got just a really excellent range of hands. You've got some hands that are functional and serious, and then you have some playful or fun hands, which Deadpool definitely needs. The only hand I would have liked is one that he's giving the middle finger. You know, obviously, I'm not complaining that he doesn't come with that, because Sideshow, I don't quite know how it works, but I would imagine that the company might have trouble actually giving him a hand like that. But you know, it fits the character, so I would have definitely loved to get one of those. But of course, I'm not complaining that we don't have one, because I do understand that that's probably not a reasonable request. But overall, I do like the hands that we did get, and they're quite nice. You know, they're painted a little bit heavy-handedly around the knuckles, mainly. As you can see, especially like right here, you've got some really kind of bad looking paint. I understand that they tried to do it in a comic book style where it's not quite so even. However, that just looks really bad. And, you know, it's just really done that way throughout it. You know, it's something that's hard to complain about, because it doesn't seem to be done on accident. It seems to actually be on purpose, that they've tried to sculpt it where it's got a very heavy hand, you know, shadowing effect. However, just when you look at it up close, they look like crap. But when they're on him, they look fine. So, you know, I would have preferred them to have a little bit more order with them. However, I understand what they were going for, so it's hard for me to complain, yet it's a little hard not to complain as well when you do look at some of these hands. Look at that. What the hell? But overall, I think that they are fine. It's something that when they're on him, you don't really notice it. However, when you just look at the hands, you're like, whoa, those are pretty bad there. But overall, a nice assortment of hands. I am happy with the ones that they've given. Deadpool also comes with a very large gun, which looks really cool. It's you know, a little futuristic almost in style. Overall, looks awesome. The scope can be removed. It comes in package removed, and you do have to put it on. Overall, this is just such a cool weapon. You know, it's very Deadpool-like. They've even done some weathering effects on the corners of the metal, looking really nice. They've got a nice, you know, kind of burgundy, very dark red outlining the back of it with some red dots there. A very large trigger hole, and then just a massive stock here. Overall, really cool, and I can't imagine what this thing fires. It must be insane, but overall, it's really awesome. He does come with a hand that's meant to hold it. Where did I put it? Here it is. Overall, this hand is basically just done in the same trigger holding style as the other one that's meant to hold the handguns. And it does, you know, obviously it fits in. You can get his finger in the trigger hole. It just doesn't hold it very well. It's very loose in here. There's a lot of extra room. I'm not quite sure why they sculpted this hand so large. I would imagine that the regular hand that's meant for holding the handgun would fit this much better. The only problem is I'm worried that if leaving it like this, you might stretch out the hand hand a little bit. Overall, it feels actually pretty good. You know, it almost leads me to believe that this hand isn't even meant for holding the weapon. I'm not quite sure, but overall, I really do like the weapon a lot. I think it's just fun and it's massive. I didn't plan on displaying him with this. However, I do think that I might display him with this weapon. It's just he's so cool with it. So overall, I really do like that large weapon. Alright, so of course you get Deadpool's signature weapons here, his long blades. As you can see, looking quite nice. I do like the sculpting in them, how they do have the diamond, red diamonds shape, just kind of going down there, the pattern. Really do like that a lot. Got a nice silver, it's well painted. It looks like a metal actually. It's really quite impressive there, and it is pretty pointy at the edge as well. And overall just looks really nice, and he holds them in his hand very well. You do have the sheaths for him, as you can see, looking quite nice. You know, nothing too special. They're brown, but they're painted in a kind of leather effect. See if I can get some better light on them. As you can see, they do, you know, have some faux texture, basically. They're sculpted to look like there's texture. Overall, quite nice. There we go. Now you can actually see it. Overall, pretty decent. I do like these sheaths a lot. There are a clip that does supposed to clip onto his back straps, so that you can have the knives kind of over him, of course, you know, to his back. They do fit in perfectly. As I say that, they get stuck. Now, this is strange. Maybe, you know, I really haven't messed with these sheaths too much, but there, this fits in perfectly, but the other one does seem to have some trouble, actually. Let's see if this one will work. It gets a little stiff at the end on this one for some reason, but overall they do go in fine, and there's no gap where you can see any part of the metal itself. It is completely, you know, fits in very nicely. You can have them posed where he's taking them out and everything, and it does look quite good. So overall, do like these signature accessories for Deadpool, and they look very nice. Alright, some of the smaller weapons that you get are a knife, 2 handguns, as well as 2 grenades. So going over the actual knife first, it does come with its own little case, which is quite cool. You can pull it out and it's done in the same texture as the larger ones, where it really does look like a shiny metal for the blade, which is really cool, and it is, you know, pretty sharp as well. And then they've got a black handle with some silver stripes. Overall, quite nice. It looks good. It does have a clipping. Can be clipped wherever you like. I personally put it on his left leg. I think it looks good there. And then he comes with 2 grenades with Deadpool paint on them, which I think is so cool. You know, they've just got such a neat look to them, totally Deadpool-like, even in the expression of the Deadpool face. Overall, looks nice. I suppose you could clip it on based on this. However, I find that it is hard to get it on him anywhere. So I wish that there was a better clip to actually put him on his outfit, because they don't really work that well like this. I don't think that these are meant to actually be stuck on his outfit, but I would love a couple grenades hanging from one of his straps. And there is a pin, and it is, you know, just on a little loop there, so it can, you know, go around. It's, you know, very simple. Overall, the grenades are really neat. Although, you know, other than having him hold them, and he's got so much other cooler accessories that it's you know, you don't really want him to hold just like one grenade. So overall, I do just display him at his base. The handguns are really fantastic. They've got the Deadpool coloring on the actual handle. There's a little bit of paint bleed on the red to the black right there, which is unfortunate. On this side, there's paint bleed to the black to the red, so overall it's not done super well. However, it's not really noticeable. The gun metal looks fantastic. It really looks like a realistic gun, which I like a lot. I don't believe that the stock, or this area up here, moves at all. I do like how elongated the nose is, though. It makes it look like such an extreme handgun. But then you can pull out the magazine or the ammo pack, and you do have a gold bullet on the edge there. Overall, very cool. Really love this weapon. I think that and he comes with 2 of them, and I love these pistols. I think that they look great on him, as well as they can be stored on his thighs right there, and this strap can be removed up. It's just got a magnet up there and a magnet right there, and can easily be put back down. Luckily, sometimes guns, they stick out too far, so the strap doesn't fully get to the other side, so it's always, you know, undone. Luckily with this figure, that is not an issue though. Alright, so here's a look at some of the accessories on Deadpool. As you can see, the speech bubble does go into the back of the base, like I've shown you. It sticks out quite nice, you know, and you can. This is pretty high up. I mean, you can raise it like slightly more, I believe, but this is about as high as it's gonna get. Overall, looks quite nice, and you know, you can clearly see the words in it. It looks like a real speech bubble, which is pretty neat. And you know, the pole being black, I think is fine, even though there is a clear. You know, they could have done it in clear. I think that the black looks good, and you know, you get the effect that it's trying to reach. The zombie Deadpool exclusive head, as you can see, is attached in the same manner. This is probably the lowest setting that it's on, I believe. You can raise it up a bit more. It does not go as high as the speech bubbles, though. Overall, looks cool. I wish that the little spinning thing on the hat, the little propeller, I wish that it was to the side, because straight on you really can't see what it is, so it's kind of weird that there's just this head next to him. I feel like if the propeller was to the side more and you could see it more, people might understand that, oh, he's kind of flying. Or it would have been nice to get an interchangeable one that is actually like in motion, like a full circle. That would be pretty neat, so that people could understand why there's just this floating head next to Deadpool. But anyway, it still looks good and everything. The massive gun, as you can see, even though it doesn't fit too well into his hand, you can still get him in some great positions with it. I absolutely love this shot. This is how I displayed him for a day. I think I'm gonna leave him like this though, for the upcoming future. I think that he just looks awesome like that. And then the speech bubble with the bang bang bang, you know, works for him, you know, holding a big ass gun. So overall, I think it looks great. The swords, you know, they can obviously be put into their sheaths and actually hung on his back. I do find that just putting them through the straps themselves instead of hanging the sheath on the strap is fine. I think it looks good, doesn't get in the way as much, and I think it just looks nice, and it's just easier in general. So overall, I do like him like that. So there's some of the accessories actually on the figure. Overall, they look fantastic. There's tons of combinations of things that you can do with this figure, which just makes him so much fun. Alright, so you do get kind of a base here. Overall, it does look quite nice. You know, the design on the top, I guess, is just kind of supposed to resemble metal, but it still has that Deadpool kind of symbol in the middle. It looks a little cheap, just based on how flat it is, you know, but they tried to make it look like there's texture. They just didn't actually give it texture. So overall, I think that it's alright. You know, the focus is, of course, going to be on the figure, and because it's a comic book character, you can have more of a drawing style base without it looking bad. If this was a movie figure, I think that this base would look pretty bad. Considering it's a comic book one, though, I think that it is alright. However, it is definitely not my favorite type of base. I like the shape of it, though, and it does have the cradle that does hold him, as well as areas on the back that are meant for holding the speech bubbles, as well as the zombie Deadpool head, which I'll show you how that works now. So here's how the speech bubbles as well as the Deadpool head attach to his base. They actually go into his pole. The pole does have a rubber top, which will have three little circles. As you can see one there, and then you get two poles that are higher up that are meant for the speech bubbles, and then you get one pole, if you were the exclusive, that's shorter and more at an angle, that's meant for the flying zombie head. So overall, it is a really nice system. I'm really quite impressed with how they put it together. It's a little hard to get those poles in the holes the first time, though, but once you do it, you can do it much easier the next times. Overall, looking quite nice there. I'm not quite sure if there will be 3 holes when you buy the regular version, or if there will be 2. I don't know, but if there are 3 holes on the regular version, and you could buy another of these speech bubbles, then you could have 3 speech bubbles and a pole. Then you can have 3 speech bubbles around him. So I don't know if that's going to be an option based on whether they actually give you 3 holes or not. Overall, here are the speech bubbles. As you can see, I've got the yellow one here, which is a little bit shorter, a little bit not as high, basically, and I've got it as chimichangas. Overall, really do like the speech bubble. I think it's quite nice. And then you do also get a white one. It's a bit wider there, and as you can see, looking quite good as well. I've got the bang 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 in that one. Here's a comparison of the two. Overall, the speech bubbles were one of the main factors that sold me on this figure. I thought that they were so unique and something that I just loved. I thought it was such a great idea, and that we really wouldn't see again with another figure. So I was very impressed with that, and it's one of the main reasons why I did purchase the Deadpool figure. Alright, let's go over the face sculpts. Before we go with the normal ones that you're going to get with this release, if you do buy the exclusive version, you will also get this zombie Deadpool head. Overall, I remember that when this went on pre-order, I had no idea what this thing was, basically. But I did Google it, and I found out some stuff about it, and I can't remember what I found out whatsoever. So I'm not quite sure what the zombie Deadpool head is. Obviously, he can't be killed. I don't know if it's him, or I think it's not him. I think it is actually like somebody else. I'm not quite sure. I don't know how it works. But overall, he looks awesome. I absolutely love the look of it. You can see the Deadpool mask there that's kind of moved up a bit so you can see his just disgusting zombie face. I really love the strap that's on his chin. It looks like to me that his jaw like isn't attached whatsoever, and the strap is the only thing that's keeping his jaw on. I think it just looks really neat, as well as they did kind of do it at an angle, which I think he just looks fantastic with, and you can see his spine there start to form. Overall, looks awesome. The helmet itself is actually painted really nicely. That looks very realistic, and it's got some gold, gray, and silver in it. Just looks wonderful, and some great texturing. And then he does have the little spinning propeller there on the top. Overall, this is really neat. He does have a hole on the back of his head to put the pole in, and then you do get the pole with this exclusive release, which will attach onto the base. Overall, a really fun, cool, exclusive accessory. Now, this is an exclusive accessory to me. There's some accessories that come out that seem like that they shouldn't be exclusive, that they should be regular releases, or that, just don't seem to be anything special. This is not necessary, and it's special, which makes it a perfect exclusive item. So I am very happy that Deadpool does come with such a nice exclusive item, and it's definitely needed. Then you get two normal head sculpts that you're going to get with any release of this Deadpool figure. Of course, you'll get the serious face as well as the more goofier, playful one. The serious one overall is looking quite nice. You've got the eyes more squinted and more texturing right at the bridge of the nose, which gives him that angry appearance. You really can't see the mouth whatsoever, but overall I think that they sculpted it really nicely. It looks like a mask over a face. It really does. They've done it in a really nice way. They have a red with a lot of black wash through it, which gives it a really comic book realistic look. So overall I am very happy about that. On the more goofy one, you do have one squinted eye that's squinted even more than the serious one, as well as one eye that's open very far. You can see that his mouth is open a bit based on the fact that the costume is kind of pulling to one side. It looks like his mouth is a little bit curved to that one side, which I think is quite nice, and overall looks fantastic. Of course, the same amount of detail is applied to this head as it is with the serious one. Overall, I think both head sculpts are fantastic. I find that the more goofy one is the best by far, because it works with any pose for Deadpool. The serious one only works if you want him to be serious. However, the goofy one, even when he's in like a serious fight, Deadpool is of course still very goofy. So any pose that you have him in, the goofy one just looks perfect in, and the serious one is quite nice, but it doesn't capture the character of Deadpool in a single shot like the goofy one does. So overall, love them both. I'm glad that they gave them both. However, I would have just been fine with this one. However, I could see that if they did just do that one, people would complain that they didn't have a serious one. But overall, very happy with the head sculpts that they chose to do, and they've done them in a very nice way. Alright, so now onto the Deadpool figure himself. We've already talked about the head, but just popping this head off, as you can see, it's a very strange joint. When I got this figure, I did kind of realize that I don't have too many Sideshow figures. I have a few, but I don't have that many. From what I know, this is not a regular joint from Sideshow. I'm not quite sure, though, so I could be wrong. They could have started using this a while back, or it might just be a new joint that they're using for the Marvel comic figures. Overall, I think it's quite nice, though. It fits in quite good, and it's very easy to swap out the heads with no problem whatsoever, which is very nice. And then you do have a ball joint at the top there, as well as a ball joint at the base, so you do have an extreme amount of posability based on that neck joint. So overall, it's quite nice. I do like it a lot. The actual suit here, let's go over that. As you can see, I think they've done it in a really nice way, and it mixes. You might think that the plastic head might not look good with the cloth body, being that they're supposed to be the same material basically, but overall they do look quite nice. I really haven't seen any odd look to it, and I think that it has to do with the fact that the cloth really does seamlessly go into the head sculpt, which is quite nice. I mean, if there was a gap where you could see a bit of the figure, a bit of the black plastic, then I think that it would take away from the illusion a bit. However, they've done it in a nice way where that doesn't happen, so it's not an issue. The black areas do have a checkered type of pattern in them, and they look quite nice. He's full of straps as well as pouches. Like I said, you can place them in any order that you like. This seems to be an order that I like. I like a few pouches right here, like he's really stocked up on ammo right there, and then a few kind of randomly placed, and then his belt, of course, has quite a few of them. Overall, I do like the actual sculpt a lot. They've sculpted the armor, gauntlets on, I guess you could say. Overall, looking really good. I mean, they've sculpted this guy really nicely, and the material that they went with has been quite nice. The only issue that I've had is on this left hand, for some reason, on this right hand, on the right side, when you pull out his hand, the joint stays, the wrist joint stays with the arm. However, on the left side, when you pull out the hand, the joint stays with the hand. So I think that the joint on the arm here on the left side is a little bit tighter than it is on the right side. But I think it's supposed to come out with the joint, because they give you a joint for every single hand. So it is a bit annoying that that doesn't happen on this side, I have to say. But I have seen one stray, what do you call it? A string, I guess. I know there's a better word for that, but there's like a little bit of string for from the costume. I did just cut it. It was something very minor. And then you do have a very small string right on the leg there. There you can see it. So overall, you know, it hasn't been a lot of issues with little strings like that. However, there have been two, so I did want to mention that. Overall, the costume design itself is fantastic, though. You've got an excellent range of motion with the costume as well. Like I said, I've already shown you the neck articulation. He's got a really nice shoulder articulation that isn't hindered as much as you think it would be by the costume. I mean, that's really good. I like that. That's a far... that's getting the arm up really quite far for a thick material that's skin tight. You know, typically even Hot Toys isn't that good in most cases, so overall I really do like that. The elbow joint is really wonderful. You get you know, a little bit more than 90-degree bend, and it stays in place. You know, typically with such amount of cloth, the joint would lose its traction, and it would become it would just start to bend down a bit, but it does actually still hold the position, which is fantastic. You do get a little bit of squeaking in the joints. I think that's just the body that Sideshow's went with, but it is something to notice. He does have bull hinge wrists, of course. However, with the gauntlets and everything, they are quite hindered. They are mostly a swivel. You could, you know, mess with it a bit to get a bit of a hinge there, but mostly just going to be a swivel. You have some really nice torso articulation, if you can find a place to actually hold them. But as you can see, got a nice rotation there, front, back, but mostly the side to side, which really helps with poses. I love myself some torso articulation, and it's great to have a figure that's fully clothed and skin tight clothed that can still manipulate his joint in the torso so well. The thighs are quite nice, a bit more hindered though. You can go up. They do have a strap, of course, that goes down to the holster, as well as on the back here. I have had this strap come out, and it's merely on a little clip, so you just clip it back in, no issues whatsoever. So even if you did want a little bit more range in these legs, you could unclip it, and it would be no issue. It's not a problem whatsoever. As well as these pouches, because they were just on a clip, they can easily be moved. So when you're messing with them, they might, you know, start to move up like this, but it's as simple as just pushing them back down, and they're fine. So if you're really picky, that might annoy you. However, for me, it's not an issue. But overall, you can move the legs out a bit. Like I said, you can get a little bit more range when you unhook the strap. And then they can move out quite far. I mean, this is quite far for a clothed body, I have to say. It's quite good. Then you do have, as you can hear, it's very squeaky. You do have a slightly more than 90-degree angle bend at the knee. That squeak is weird, but it's you know, it doesn't seem to be like the body is stressed because it's squeaking or anything like that, so I wouldn't worry about that. And then the boots are separate pieces. The brown part is separate from the red part, and so you do get even in a smidge of an ankle pivot, as well as up and down movement slightly. So overall, his articulation is really quite good, and it's surprisingly good for how tight and how thick his clothing is. So I am quite impressed with how much articulation he maintains, even with what would seem to be a hindrance of the costume. So overall, very nicely designed costume, just as far as looks and function too. There's not a single area where he's completely hindered or hindered a lot. There may be some areas where he doesn't have a just massive amount of range. However, he has plenty and definitely can get him in some really nice poses and some just awesome stances. So overall, I am really enjoying this Deadpool figure. I think that he turned out really fantastic. A figure that when he was shown at shows I admired, but had no interest in getting. By the time he went on pre-order, I totally wanted him with all the cool, fun accessories. And now getting him more than a year later, I am still very happy about tons of fun stuff. He's a really cool, interesting figure because he's a really cool, interesting character. They could have easily, not embraced the character of the figure. They chose to take his character and really run with it with a figure rather than just give us a figure just based on his look. So overall, I do applaud Sideshow for that. He's quite expensive. I mean, he is Hot Toys prices. However, with the amount of stuff that you get with him, I feel like Hot Toys would have charged more for this guy. This would be about a $250 figure from Hot Toys. However, Sideshow has given us a $230 price tag, which makes sense because Hot Toys quality just isn't Hot Toys. However, I really do like their quality on this figure. I think that he's a solid figure with some amazingly fun accessories. I love the speech bubbles so much. I just wish that they gave us more speech bubbles so that you can have him as different expressions, because I'm not going to be tearing the stickers off. So I do plan to talk to Toy Anxiety and maybe get some more of those speech bubbles so that I can have some different expressions rather than chimichangas and bang bang bang. But overall, really do love the speech bubbles as an idea, and I think that they just work really fantastically. He's got some excellent accessories and just a fun, great looking and functional figure in general. Overall, this is highly recommended by me. One of my favorite Sideshow figures now, and really happy with that, as well as it comes with a solid exclusive item. I feel like exclusive items have really gone downhill recently, with being ones that are either necessary to the figure and yet they give them as an exclusive, like the ones that came with Star-Lord. Or they're just not special. They're not necessary, but they're just nothing neat. Like the Darth Maul, his exclusive accessory is just one severed lightsaber. I mean, it's a teeny weeny exclusive accessory, and it's one that should be necessary for the figure. So overall, I hate Darth Maul's exclusive item. However, I love the exclusive item for Deadpool. They really took the character and ran with it, and you could tell that even with their Sideshow listing, where they had actually like Deadpool naming his accessories rather than them just naming their accessories. That kind of clued me in that they really understood the character and were going to do the toy justice, which they have. So I'm very happy about that in general. Overall, a fantastic and fun figure. Would highly recommended by me.